right, good morning and welcome everyone to, seems like a little deja vu, but welcome everyone to our workshop this morning. And we do have a agenda amendments, so I want to read that. The chair has found good cause to amend the agenda to include all items listed under agenda amendments on the April 12th, 2023 agenda, updated April 11th, 2023, and posted to the district website, manateeschools.net. Public comments, do we have any public comments set?
You have an echo.
We do have an echo.
You might
I
be
hear
too
it.
far from the microphone, maybe? Just a thought.
Is that better?
Like you're in the stadium.
Yeah. My PA announcing, goal. I don't know. Okay, so let's get to public comment. Excuse me, I just got these. First one is Brownwind Beidel. If I pronounce that name wrong, I am sorry. Brownwind Beidel. Doesn't seem like
Not here.
they're in here.
Big name.
Next, Stephen Gafanti.
Stephen.
They're not going to be here. He was coming for the reading thing.
Yeah,
Oh,
we,
okay.
we
That's right.
contacted them and let them.
Oh, that's
know
right,
that was
that's right.
you, so those two were.
Hannah Brinkley, probably reading, same thing.
Yep.
And Michael Hartman. Yeah, public comment. What do you think, Matt? Are you still hearing it? I am not hearing it anymore. Okay, but I may be past that age where I can hear that high-pitched noise. I don't know what that age is, but I think we're good. All right, Thank you. All right, Mr. Hartman.
Okay, for the record, my name is Michael Hartman. 1 Timothy 2, 1 and 2. I exhort therefore that first of all supplications, prayers, intercessions, and giving of thanks be made for all men and women, for kings and for all that are in authority, that we may lead a quiet and peaceable life in all godliness and honesty. Jeremiah 29:7, and seek the peace of the city where I have caused you to live, and pray unto the Lord for it, for in the peace thereof shall you have peace. And James 1:5, if any man or any person among you lack wisdom, let him ask of God that giveth to all men liberally, and upbraideth not, and it shall be given. But let him ask in faith, nothing wavering. So first of all, what I would like to do is I would like to publicly say thank you for our current superintendent. I know she's gotten a lot of criticism, but I thank the Lord that she's got a heart for people. And I was thinking, when people come to something like this, what I've experienced over the time I've been here, we leave the stones outside, okay? Because there's nobody here that can condemn anybody on this board, because everybody is guilty of doing something that's not right, in my mind or in somebody else's mind. But that doesn't give us the authority to come and be critical. So I just wanted to publicly say thank you. And of course, to the new school board members, if you don't already know it, I pray every day for all of you all. Thank you for the support staff, the unsung heroes of the school district. And you know, people have come in here and criticized the board in the past and say negative things, but they say I'm doing it because God told me. Well, the Bible says pray for those in authority and power. If there's an issue with somebody on the board, one-on-one, or if, you know, somebody else should be in the seat, vote for them, campaign for them. But once you're on the board, we're supposed to respect the board members. It even says, don't come in here and start being negative. And that just reminded me, I spoke with Mr. Nelson. He had COVID, and he's in an assisted living place now. He sends his regards. And I just wanted to say that, you know, I love that man. You know, I know a lot of times he said things that were kind of, you know, coming across as what people didn't want to hear. But the bottom line is what I've learned is when you pray for people that rub you the wrong way, you know who gets changed first? I do. So God bless you all. Thank you for the attorneys. Thank you for everybody else. God bless you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank
Mr.
you.
Harder. That concludes our public comment in a very good way. And we'll move to our only item, which is obviously FSBA coming up. I don't know, Andrew, I don't know who wants to lead off and then be the cleanup. So it's up to y'all to set up the lineup.
All right. Well, thank you, sir. We are thrilled to be here today with you to hopefully identify some semifinalists that we can move forward, applicants that you believe the board ought to continue to consider. We'll start today with a summary of the applicants. Dr. Vogel will do that. We will then ask you for the applicants that you believe you would like to see the board continue to consider. We'll reach some consensus on that. Then we'll be sending those applicants some questions. Mr. Reichert is going to talk to you about some future details related to finalists and interviews, as well as the timeline. So we're going to start with some summary on the applicants, and that's going to be Dr. Vogel.
Thank you very much, Andrea. Before we get started on the summary of our applicants, it has come to our attention that board members have received some direct communication from one of the candidates that came in after the deadline of midnight on April 10th. So I'd like to have Mr. Reichert come up and explain how we address situations like that. Mr. Reichert?
Thank you, Dr. Vogel, and good morning, everyone. Basically, my communications with applicants, and I do have a lot of communication with them along the way, helping them put their packets together, making sure they have all the materials that they can put in the packets. And with this particular candidate, I received his original application about 10 o'clock on the 10th. There was an item or two missing, so we had a little communication either by text or by email. Did he have additional documents to submit? He said he was waiting on one reference letter. It came to be about 10 till 12, and we did not have the reference letter yet. So the applicant sent me an evaluation by this same gentleman that was from the military and asked that I include that evaluation as the third reference letter. So I did that, processed the packet, and then submitted it probably after, even though it was before 12, I probably sent it to Laura for a submission to y'all and posting a little after 12. But we typically do not accept additional information after the application deadline has come and gone. So I just wanted to explain that the packet was completed prior to 12 o'clock with the evaluation as the third reference. Thank you.
Let me ask you this, just as you're presenting this, do you want for us just to say we got a question? I mean, as we go through, do you want to how do you want to work? Any board questions that we may have as you're talking about? I don't know if as you're giving us the applicants right now, as you're kind of talking about that, do you want questions?
Sure. What I'm going to do is I'm just going to give you a brief summary of all of the applicants, and then I'm going to turn it back to Andrea, and then we'll have some discussion as we go through your selections before we do that. So I know board members have been up late. I know John has been late. We've been monitoring that midnight deadline, and we were basically getting text and everything all night. So, and I know board members have been very busy reviewing all the applications because, as we said, a lot of them didn't come in till the last minute. But we ended up with an applicant pool of 27. 13 individuals had doctorate degrees. We had 9 states represented, 3 current superintendents, and just a comment on superintendents. The term superintendent is not always as we understand a superintendent. Sometimes they're superintendents of small academies and schools and overseas areas, but we go ahead and if they say they're superintendent, then we go ahead and put that title in there. And we did have 6 individuals who had prior superintendent experience. So that makes up our applicant pool. And I'm going to turn things over now to Mrs. Messina to talk about the process that we're going to go through to go ahead and determine who the semifinalists are. And again, thank you for all your diligent work. We haven't had a lot of time to go through these, but I know board members have been working to go through them very carefully. Thank you.
Okay, Mr. Chairman, typically we would ask board members which applicants they would like to see continue to be considered to create our semifinalist pool, but you indicated that you may have some questions that
No, I was just wanting to clarify how, if we had any questions, if anyone had any comments, as we were discussing, do you want to take them at the end? You want to take them? I mean, I thought Mr. Vogel was going to kind of go through more detail about but
He
that's
can if
fine.
you'd like him to.
No, I don't need to. I don't. The
we've
board, I think, well, I've seen it. That was my question.
Okay.
So I think we're good.
Okay, perfect. So then, the way this will work is each of you should have a tally sheet in front of you, and I know that your clerk has a tally sheet and your attorney has a tally sheet. And so what I'll ask you to do is tell me the either names or numbers of the applicants that you believe the board ought to continue to consider. We'll just make a tally mark all the way across. And then when we're done with all 5 board members telling us who they believe the board ought to continue to consider, we'll see where the commonalities lie, and we'll discuss who you'd like to have as your semifinalists. So the list on your tally sheet is the way that you are listed on your website, which I believe is district number. However, if anybody is ready to go, we don't have to go in that order. I do want to point out to the right side of your tally sheet, you'll notice there was somehow I had not put a name in there, and so I had to kind of rearrange. But the numbers will
You
coordinate.
did say 25, 26, 27.
Yeah, and it's 26, 27, 25, the way it is on your tally sheet. But if you say 25, it goes in the 25 column. So, do I have anyone that would like to go first? Share their, okay, thank you, Ms. Messenger.
I'm going first. Did you see that?
I was going to say to go by the district numbers anyways,
See what he was doing to me? See that?
so I was prepared.
Both of you are on the same page today.
Okay, so you just want me to give number?
Yeah, that's fine.
4, 8,
And I'll repeat them all at the end, just so everyone gets the same thing.
10, 11, 16, 18, 20, 23.
Okay, please confirm that I have this correct. I have applicants number 4, 8, 10, 11, 16, 18, 20, 23.
Yep.
Okay. Then you want me to go District 2, Mr. Choate? Sure. Chairman? Ms. Spray?
I haven't got mine marked. I can tell you by my notes.
Okay, that's fine.
I have 4. 10. 14. 16. 17. 18. 20. 22. And 25.
All right, let me make sure I have this correct. I'll let you flip back to the beginning.
Flip back. 'Cause I
4.
didn't cheat. I didn't get ahead of myself there. Okay.
Number 4, number 10, number 14, 16, 17, 18, 20, 22, 25.
Yes, ma'am.
Okay, thank you. Ms. Foreman?
8, 10, 11, 17, 18, 20, 22, 23, and 27.
All right, let's make sure I have this correct. I have 8, 10, 11, 17, 18, 20, 22, 23, 27.
Correct.
All right. Chairman?
4, 8, 14, 16, 23, 25, 27.
All right, let me repeat these to you. I have applicants number 4, 8, 14, 16, 23, 25, 27.
Right.
Okay. Mr. Tatum?
Number 8, number 16, number 18, number 20, number 23, and number 25. And that's it.
All right, let me repeat these back to you. Applicants number 8, 16, 18, 20, 23, 25.
That's correct.
Okay, so moving across, let's make sure we all have the same tally marks. Applicant number 4 has 3 tally marks. Applicant 8 has 4 tally marks. Applicant 10 has 3. Applicant 11 has 2. Applicant 14 has 2. Applicant 16 has 4. Applicant 17 has 2. Applicant 18 has 4. 20 has 4. 22 has 2. 23 has 4. 25 has 3. And 27 has 2. Is that what you guys have? Okay, so let's start where we see the most commonality, and I see 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 applicants that 4 board members agree they would like to see continue in consideration, and that would be applicants number 8, 16, 18, 20, and 23. Does anybody object to keeping those 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 applicants as semifinalists?
I did not write as the members wrote on their sheets. I did not record as you went. So I was just marking mine. I did not mark everyone else's, so.
That's okay. You don't have to turn it in or anything.
All right.
No, that's one reason you're verbally doing it. There's no secret
Okay.
ballot.
Good.
It's all public. That's fine.
Okay.
Is there any objection to starting our semifinalist pool with those 5 applicants?
Can you go over those again real quick?
Certainly. Applicant number 8, which is Michael Scott Flowers. Applicant number 16, which is Dr. Benjamin Henry. Applicant 18, which is Dr. Jason Weissong. Applicant 20, which is Dr. Richard O'Malley. And applicant 23, which is Doug Wagner.
Okay.
Any objection? I'm not hearing it. So we will put those 4 applicants, and there are 5 of them, as the beginning of your semifinalist pool. Let's look at the applicants that have 3 board members who would like to move them forward. We have applicant number 4, Scott Schneider, applicant 10, Dr. Ann Hembrook, and applicant 25, Charlie Van Zant. Is there any objection to keeping those 3 applicants in the semifinalist pool? Okay, so if it's okay with you, I will move those 3 over, which gives us right now a
Hold on
total.
1 second. I just want to make sure the board has enough. I mean, I didn't look to see. I was still circling, writing, stuff like that. So I just want to make sure
All right, so let me repeat
everybody
it.
has enough time to
We
see
have-
who we're actually talking about.
Yeah, we have 3 applicants that 3 board members have said they'd like to see continue to be considered. Applicant number 4, Scott Schneider. Applicant 10, Dr. Ann Hembrook. And applicant 25, Charlie Van Zant. 3 board members have said they would like to see them continue to be considered. Is there any objection?
So can you just go over the process again from the difference between semifinalists and finalists? I mean, I understand what those mean in the English language, but
Sure.
what happens once we pick semifinalists, and then how do we get to finalists at that point?
Sure, thank you. The semifinalist pool, right now, we definitely have 5, potentially 3 more, which would be 8, will receive, and if we don't add others, would receive the 5 questions that I've talked with each one of you about developing a question. They will respond to those questions in 1 week. We give them over a weekend because we know they have jobs and want to give them a little extra time. 3 of the questions they will respond to in video responses. 2 of the questions they will respond to in written responses. I'll get all of those a week from today, 5 p.m., send them to you all to review before you determine who the finalists will be. So you'll have additional information. What you're telling these people as semifinalists is, hey, we believe that we want to learn more about you, but before we invite you for a face-to-face interview, we need to learn more. Then we'll come back in 2 weeks. John, what's the date of that meeting? April the 28th, and we'll do a similar exercise to what we're doing today, except you'll only have these few to talk about, and you'll say, okay, of these semifinalists, we've seen the answers to their questions, who do we believe we want to bring in for a face-to-face interview? And those would be identified as your finalists. They would come in for the 2 days that we talked about. John's going to go into more detail later today about how that will look, and the board interview, which will be similar to what you're doing here. The applicants will sit here, each one of them will have a public interview, and then there'll be one-on-one interviews with each of you. That's the finalist. But the semifinalist is basically saying, there are things about you that we like, we want to learn more.
Okay, thank you.
I do see a mess up in my numbers, by the way.
Okay,
Yeah, that's actually,
For what I put down, 8, I mean, it's not gonna change anything. 18's already through, but that was one of mine,
I would have been a 5.
18 was one of yours?
yes.
Did I get one wrong, or you just?
No, it was
Okay.
me.
All right, so we want to add that, and that would just make 5 tally marks for Dr. Wysong. Okay,
so 18 had to have 5.
So I apologize.
that is correct. 18 would now have 5 tally marks,
Okay.
but that person would still have been moved forward, as you say.
Right.
Yeah, you just wanted to get the record straight. I appreciate that. So we still have 3 applicants that have 3 board members who would like to see them continue to be considered. Is there any objection to including those additional 3 in your semifinalist pool? I'm not seeing an objection.
Those numbers again, real quick. I'm sorry.
Sure. Number 4, number 10, number 25.
I'm okay with that.
Okay? All right. So right now we have 8 that you've moved to the semifinalist pool. You do have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 applicants that 2 board members wanted to see considered, continue to be considered. So how would you like us to move forward with the applicants that have 2 board members? Anybody have a thought on that?
I mean, I would just, the ones who've chosen them to say, do you still feel
Yeah.
like we need it? I mean, maybe after we've got, 8 now, maybe someone may change their mind and say, it looks like we have a good pool, but if they want to,
Anybody want to advocate on
yeah,
behalf of
advocate for somebody
what you're
that's
asking.
fine, yeah.
Would you please go over those numbers?
You bet. I have applicant number 11, Dr. Kim Moore. Applicant 14, Dustin Sims. Applicant 17, Ernie Lozano. Applicant 22, Dr. Scott David Heiser. And applicant 27, Tim Bargeron.
Would you give us a minute or two just to review those?
I'm sorry?
Would you please give us a minute to review those?
Absolutely.
Yeah, I would definitely
Absolutely.
like some time to be able to know who they are.
Okay.
So I already see where my mistake was.
Okay.
So, sorry, board. When I had 18, I said 14 was not one of mine. So now that takes that down from 2 to 1.
Okay.
So that was where my mistake was
Okay.
14 and 18.
Thank you. So applicant number 14 does not have 2. Applicant
only have
number
1.
14 only has 1.
Yeah,
That's,
my apologies.
I would like, if we could, to go back through, I don't know the numbers that Ms. Messenger picked.
Let me repeat them for you.
That would help me because I was writing my own, looking through mine and not writing the other selections from the other members, so I got to Mr.
If everybody
Tatum.
wants to review their tally sheets, let's.
Right, so Ms. Messenger, if
Ms.
she could-
Messenger has applicant 4, 8, 10, 11, 16, 18, 20, 23. And let me go back through Mr. Choates as well, please.
Sure.
4,
Pardon me?
4,
Okay.
8, 16, 18, 23, 25, 27.
Okay, see, there's where it got confusing because at the end of the sheet,
Right. Do you want me to go through Mr. Tatum?
Ms. Foreman's,
All right, Ms. Foreman, I have 8, 10, 11, 17, 18, 20, 22, 23, 27.
and 27
Mr. Tatum,
is back here, okay.
I have 8, 16, 18, 20, 23, 25. And then let me do yours as well to make sure everyone has yours correct.
Okay,
For Ms. Spray, I have 4, 10, 14, 16, 17, 18, 20, 22, 25.
yeah, okay. Now I feel better that I have a complete sheet.
Okay.
All right, 3,
So we have 4 applicants that 2 board members have asked to remain under consideration. Does anybody want to have a strong advocacy on behalf of any of those applicants is the question.
Would you please go over those 4 numbers again? Since
Sure. Applicant 11, Dr. Kim Moore. Applicant 17, Ernie Lozano. Applicant 22, Dr. Scott Davenheiser. And applicant 27, Tim Bargeron. You wanted to say something, Mr. Chair?
I will start, sure, that's fine with me. I think the only one that I have is 27, Tim Bargeron. And I think the biggest one is financial acumen with education finances. To me, very, very, very good. He knows the district climate and knows the initiatives we've been doing was on our staff, obviously. So I would like to hear from him being already a part of this district for the initiatives we've done. Where does he believe he could take the district to the next level, right? I think that the new board members, especially, never had any kind of interaction with him, and so again, that would be my recommendation that we allow him through.
I'm going to support that. I mean, I checked him off too. The days of someone starting out as a teacher and going on to the principal and then administration, and those are not, that process is not necessarily conducive to running a district with $1 billion budget. And the educational component can be replaced with a strong deputy superintendent in instruction. And so I think it's something to explore, to consider. So I would ask that the board have him come in.
So, given the advocacy that we've just heard, is there any, how do you want me to move forward?
I would say let's just vote. I mean, let's vote on it. We get 3, we get 3. Or if anybody wants to say yes, let's do it. That's fine. I mean, I don't. What do you guys normally do?
Normally, we would say, is there any objection to including, and then we would kind of move that way, which would end up having to vote. So it's the same
process.
outcome.
Yeah, that's fine.
Yeah.
So if you have, I mean,
I do have an objection, simply, Mr. Barjuan was brought in to our district from another state, and I did work one-on-one with him through the CFOC on occasion. He did leave our district knowing that our current superintendent was leaving, and that's only been since November, I think, is when he left. So he's not been removed from the district for more than 6 months. So knowing that we had a resignation coming and leaving the district and now wanting to come back, it doesn't bode well with me. I think if there was interest in our district, he wouldn't have left. And that's my sentiment. Maybe I'm seeing okay. So, but that is what I feel.
Yeah, I'd like to respond to that. First of all, he spent his entire career in Florida, mostly in St. Lucie County. And then he went to Texas for, I think, about a 2-year period, and then wanted to come back to Florida. So that's when he came back. He also, I do know that he resigned before the superintendent announced her decision. It came out like within a week or two. And in fact, we had conversations following up with him. You know, I've worked very closely with him, probably more so than any board member. And he has a passion for, he loves this district, okay? And he wants to come back. And I think that he's got a skill set for management. The people who work with him, he delegates, he raises them up, he educates, you know, he's a developer in the people that work with him. And I would advocate for him, you know. So.
I'll say, and I don't know if you want to say something or not, but just to reiterate a couple things. Well, one that Ms. Foreman just said, every staff member that I had talked to underneath him, the way he handles his employees underneath him is something that I think would be good for the district, 1. 2, he's the only one on here, well, maybe not the only one. There's 27, so maybe I don't remember. But his skill set in the financial department, I believe he's the only one with finance. And to me, when you look at these, he's the only one that's done that part of it for the longest of that skill set. And so, to me, there's always been 3 things, and he checks off by far one of them, which is finance. And I think that for that reason, he's got, in my opinion, he's one that we move to the next round to see what his vision is to move the district forward.
I have some of the same concerns as Ms. Spray, but at this point, as a semifinalist, if you two feel strongly about it, I'm willing to meet the guy and talk to him, you know, at this point of the game. Kind of.
I think that a lot of times there is concern when you look at a lot of these applicants, there's concern about bouncing around, moving around. And I think that the grass is not always greener. Everybody sometimes takes a job, takes something. There's maybe some insecurity somewhere happening, change happening at the top. To me, he checks boxes more than some that we're bringing. So
I will say some people to fit with what you're saying, some people who want to be superintendents and know that that is their eventual desire intentionally go to other districts so that they have another district's perspective and or an opportunity to advance up a level that they could come back. And that's not specific to any candidate, but we do see that, and we do sometimes encourage that. We say, you know, you really should go to another district of a different size or whatever just to get some experience. But with Mr. Tatum saying he would support keeping this applicant number 27, which is Tim Bergeron, under consideration, that would give us 3 board members who would support that. So
I have a question with Ms. Saunders.
Yes, ma'am.
Did Mr. Barjwan know you were retiring before he left?
Yes,
Or
ma'am.
He did?
Yes, ma'am.
He did not.
He announced it before she announced it, though.
But he would have given the opportunity to have changed his mind?
He was given that opportunity.
He was given the opportunity to change his mind to relocate. So he just had decided to leave, knowing the position was becoming available this year,
Why don't
so.
you let him come in as a semifinalist and talk to him about it?
I'm just like, leave,
talk to
then
him
come
about it,
back,
you know.
leave and then come back. I just,
Let
yeah.
him, let him
I mean, he's only left
explain
once.
it to you.
Yeah, I would say, and that's, we're not picking finalists here.
correct.
Because I mean, it took a lot for me to get 6 or 7 of them. I'm gonna be quite frankly honest. And for us to be picking at someone who checks off one of the most important parts, which is finance. There's 3 of us, so we're good to moving forward.
Okay.
All right.
I'll just make a comment there. And the reason I'm doing this is because it's in deference to board members who would like people to be involved in processes that we do, right? So I would just like to ask for that same courtesy, going down the road and other things. That's why a lot of times I'll ask people to come and speak before us, right? It's not that, I'm just making that point, is that I kind of share Mrs. Spray's concerns. I'm just making the point that in deference to you all, out of respect for your opinion, you know this person and you'd like him to be part of the semifinalist process, sure, I'll go along with that. It's just, I'm just making that point. I would ask for that same consideration when other members of the board might want someone to come before us and participate in a process, that we not shut them down immediately because, hey, if one of us really feels strongly that there's something important that we all should know, I'm just making that point, that's all. So,
Thank you.
yep, sure thing.
Another one I'd like for people to take another look at is Ernie Lozano over in Broward.
Applicant number 17.
Sorry, yeah.
No, I'm just trying to help everyone.
Yeah. His process, he was handling the risk, what was it, safety. He had been promoted to this, yeah, which in Broward County, because of Parkland, is no small matter. And he was executive director of behavioral threat assessments, which is more than security. I mean, that is the mental health and their programs there, which came under attack. But then and apparently he's exceptional and just kind of rises up the ranks pretty quickly. They moved him over to basically be the chief of staff for the superintendent. And I read up on the letter, I think it was in his recommendations letters. They were glowing. I mean, they love him over there. And because of some of the changes, they asked him to go back because, and go back to the behavioral threat assessments because they were floundering there with some of their initiatives with him not being in that job. So, I was impressed by everything I read about him. So I would, again, it's out of the box, I mean, it's not the typical pathway, but I would like to meet him. I'd like to talk to him. So.
Any other comments?
I know Miss Spray had him marked as well. I don't know if you wanted to say anything.
Oh, may I also? His reference letters were from principals who worked underneath him, all of them. And
Which one are we at, number 14?
that says a lot to me, so.
What number is he?
17.
17.
17, so I can pull my paper. My notes are on another sheet. I think I did pick him
did.
because of that, aspect.
Yep, you and I
Yeah.
don't need to.
You know, I mean, if we had to narrow it down, that would be one that I would be fine with letting go. But that was one of it, and that's one of my notes, not my top pick, but a pick. So, and I did read his letters as well. I didn't read a letter I didn't like. I mean, and, you know, some of them were, okay, they work at this county, they're doing a reference for this person in that county. So you kind of could catch that too. But I don't know how many the board wants to narrow this down to. I mean, I don't know if it's a 8, a 10, a 9, you know, but, yeah. He's here local, it might be a chance to have someone with that kind of talent come over and speak with us. I'm not gonna advocate hard for that, but there's 2 that picked it. If 3 wants to come on board, that's fine. I wouldn't ask anybody to do it just because I wanted it, and I respect that. I would want it to be more, yeah, I see what you mean by this. It would add value, not simply because I asked or Ms. Foreman asked. So I'm here and there with that one. That was one of my lower picks, I will say that.
And to be clear, this is not the stage where we're inviting them to come and talk to you.
Right, right.
Okay, just to be clear.
Right.
That was, I wanted to make sure, can you please, again, for my memory too, the process is video, questions answered, but not necessarily one-on-ones,
That is correct.
right? Okay.
Once you've gotten, basically you're saying, we want to know more about you, and here are 5 questions that will help us learn more about you.
In a 5-minute video or 3-minute video or whatever.
Correct. So they'll answer those questions. You'll have that packet that then you can review before we come back and have a similar discussion. All right, now you've learned more about these 9, 10, 8, however many people. Right now we have 9 in the pool. You've learned more about these 9 applicants. Which of these 9 do you want to bring in for a face-to-face interview? That's the next meeting.
So for me, he was a borderline for me, and actually, as they were both talking, looking at something again that I may have overglanced or didn't look at, is that he was the point person for exceptional student education, so ESE, which I think we need to bolster that arena. So I would like to add him.
Okay.
And then that would be our 10, or we would have 10 at that.
That would be the 3rd person for him, which would be your, that would bring you to 10 semifinalists right now, correct? And I'll review who they are in just a minute, but we still
But I
have,
do have one I still want to advocate for.
Yeah, we still have
I
one
was
more.
gonna say, yeah.
Yeah, and that's a number 22.
Dr. Scott, David Heiser.
Yes, I did some research on that. That's a very high performance area. I know the summary that we had been giving, numbers doesn't, you know, however many students that is, but prior to that, it was a bigger district that he was over. Has had a lot of experience in this area, and I think is worth at least putting on the list for us to hear a different perspective, get what he can bring to Manatee, or to Florida even, from another state. So I would ask a board member to consider that we need to bring others in as well, and he would be my strongest one to bring, at least get the questionnaire, get the video, what the next step is.
And that's applicant 22, Dr. Scott, David Heiser.
Yes, ma'am.
And you and I were the 2.
Yeah, Mary and I were the 2 that had looked at him. And I did a lot of reading on the out-of-state candidates, applicants, because I wanted to see what. I mean, Florida, you gotta understand, we're gonna have people like Mr. Barjwan go from district to district. or people in Marion and Duval and Broward and, gosh, what, the other counties, you know, I had some research pulled for me so I could look at their performance rating. You know, it's gonna be hard to pull somebody from Florida that's better than us. If we can pull somebody from out of state that is better than us, I think that would be a win-win for our district. And that's why I kind of picked somebody with that kind of suit.
Other comments on applicant number 22?
Along the same lines with Ms. Ray, if she feels like at this point as a semifinalist, it would be interesting to hear from somebody else, that's fine.
Okay, that would give us 3 applicants, or 3 board members who would support bringing Dr. Scott David Heiser into the pool of semifinalists, which gives you now 11.
Let's get rid of
And there's no minimum or maximum number that's up for the board to decide.
Why don't we just take all of our 2s?
All right, Ms. Foreman?
You know,
I think we can omit the 1s.
yeah, but there are, how many 2s here?
There's only one.
One
So
more,
should we
so
keep Dr. Moore in as well then?
Number
I feel like
2,
that's fair.
you and I, yeah.
Okay,
Yeah, you and I are on that one.
so that brings us to 12 semifinalists. Let me tell you the numbers to make sure that we have them all the same.
Dr. Moore, I think was not one of my picks. So who is adding her?
Gina was adding,
Talking about how we think it'd be fair since
Oh, I
all
see.
the other ones that had 2 votes
Yeah,
were added to just add that one, but
yeah, this one was a definite no for me, only because,
You don't need to.
yeah, I don't need to elaborate. So whomever wants to do the 3rd, feel free.
Well, I don't, that's what, I think that's what they were saying, is that if everyone,
yeah.
if all the, if basically all the 2s kind of got moved forward. I personally, it doesn't bother, I mean, if you want to move it forward, I mean, I believe my vote's probably still be the same.
you moved 3 of the 2s forward, so this would be the 4th.
I would be okay moving all the 2s forward if that's what we're
Okay,
talking
so then
about,
that would
so
give
I'm
us the
okay.
3rd person to support that. So right now I have a pool of 12 semifinalists going through. I have applicant number 4, Scott Schneider. Applicant number 8, Michael Scott Flowers. Applicant 10, Dr. Ann Hembrook. Applicant 11, Dr. Kim Moore. Applicant 16, Dr. Benjamin Henry. Applicant 17, Ernie Lozano. Applicant 18, Dr. Jason Wysong. Applicant 20, Dr. Richard O'Malley. Applicant 22, Dr. Scott David Heiser. Applicant 23, Doug Wagner. Applicant 25, Charlie Van Zant. Applicant 27, Tim Bargeron. And that would be your semifinalist pool.
Okay.
Okay? All right.
So there's only, so I just want to make sure I'm correct, and only 1 got all 5?
That is correct, and that would
Number
be number
18.
18, Jason Wysong,
Okay.
Dr. Jason Wysong.
Okay.
Any other questions before I turn it over to Mr. Reichert? And Mr. Choate, you and I still need to get together on your question before you leave today, okay?
And the 2 of us too, please, if we could.
Yes, sir. Oh, yes.
Okay, just a quick update on the actual on-site interview schedules. If you recall at the last meeting, we did change the date for those 2 days of on-site interviews. We did change those dates from May 10
Yeah.
and 11, I'm sorry, we changed it from May 11 and 12 to May 10 and 11.
10 and 11, yeah.
I have updated the timeline that's, we can update the website for the timeline. And with that as well, because if you recall, we moved a meeting up by 2 days. So our date to return Andrea's responses for the videos and the written responses, we're going to give them, as Andrea said, a week from today. So that timeline, I will change that return date for their responses from the 24th to the 21st. That'll still give them the weekend and a few days that Andrea had mentioned. So I just wanted to update that. We will update the timeline. we'll put it on the website so it is accurate and up to date. Also, with regard to the on-site days that the candidates would be here, I did spend some time with Laura yesterday. I got in a little early, so we had a very productive hour or two kind of finalizing some of the tour schedules, the time frame that we would need, also the location for the meet and greet. I think the loft is what we're looking at potentially having it there. And there's a couple of other details regarding the one-on-one interviews, seeing the rooms that y'all will be assigned to do your one-on-one. So we are filling in the blanks on that on-site interview schedule for those 2 days. When we come back to select the finalists, we'll have hopefully a final version of that on-site 2-day schedule and get your approval to move forward with that. In your packet also, and this is more for that day that you have your one-on-one interviews, we just like to kind of give to all boards a few questions that you really should avoid in any interview process. So we just give this to you for your review.
Page.
So these are the ones I should ask?
But let's try to avoid those. Let's try to avoid those.
But what is the problem with number 10? I understand the other ones probably have some legal ramifications about discrimination and stuff, but why is number 10
He
an
doesn't have any
issue?
children.
Why don't
Well, I think-
you have any children?
Well, I'm just,
Asking if you have any kids, like getting to know them.
yeah, getting to know them as human beings. Why is that
I understand if they say no, you may not be going into detail, but yeah, I question that one too, but that's okay.
Or number 4, what kind of work does your spouse do?
Yeah.
Why don't you have a spouse?
That's a good question.
I'm not gonna ask that one.
How many of you had?
There you go.
It really
We can
just,
make our own.
Maybe
Can we
it's
call
because
them?
Steve's
Can we
down
call
there
them? I
having
mean,
a-
they lived with you.
It's not on the list. We can ask.
You have, okay. so
Let's,
someone-
seriously though, that's a question. Hey, how many, tell me a little about your family, you know, that's the question I would ask.
If you're willing
and
to
a lot of,
share.
I think some folks, there's a potential that someone would take that as, so they want a different age person who is not tied to a family. They can do more, they can be out more. So there's always that window that somebody can say, I did not receive equal consideration because I didn't fit the certain mold.
I was married with 5 kids. And I mean, I could see, when you put it, like when I first read it, I'm with you, Mr. Tatum, I'm like, wait a minute, that's kind of just getting to know someone. I do understand legally, I mean, and you guys have to tell us to do that. I mean, you should, as our advisors, tell us, don't say these so you get in trouble. And if we do, it's on us.
And I will say though,
Yeah, we'll get that to.
a lot of the finalists will be, they'll open up the conversation about, you know, their family and stuff. So if they kind of bring it up, it's one issue, but to kind of make it part of a formal interview is,
I got you.
could be,
So if they offer the information, it's.
yes, absolutely.
That's,
Yes.
that's,
And you can
okay.
expand on that, you know, well, that's great, what grade are they in, and, you know, things like that, but,
So I should not ask them their date of birth and then
no, ma'am,
write it down.
Sagittarius.
Oh, you're a Sagittarius.
okay.
Let me look that up, what that means.
So even just tell me a little bit about yourself.
That's fine, that's fine,
Okay.
but just, you know, how many children do you have? I mean,
Because somehow that's.
some people can say, what does that have to do with me being
Have ever been arrested?
a productive superintendent? I mean,
Yeah, I mean, I mean, you can almost twist anything. But maybe with the new tort reforms, they can't do that anymore.
Okay.
Number 6 is interesting.
Are you telling me people have sat in an interview and said, do you have high blood pressure?
yes.
Yeah.
Number 6 is like, really? Okay, we'll put it on there.
Yes.
What type of medications do you take?
Yeah, I'm like, have you ever been arrested?
Well, we're gonna know that.
Yeah, I'm like,
You're
okay.
gonna know that, right? But there's a lot of folks, and again, from my years in HR, they have been arrested, and then all charges drop because of whatever. So simply
Oh,
the
yeah,
arrest
I see.
should not be well, you were arrested 12 years ago, 20 years ago, you're kind of off my list. There's some research that needs to be done on this.
Oh, the lowest salary.
These are hysterical.
Some of them are, yeah.
I just wanted to speak truly to the one about children, because sometimes people have difficulty having children. And if you ask them a question, tell me about your children, and they don't have children, and there may be a medical condition related, I mean, it's just,
Yeah.
we're just trying to keep you above the fray. We want to keep everything above board.
Don't make the applicants cry. So.
Right.
Yeah.
Thank you.
I do have a question. Just looking at the timeline, because we had the same discussion yesterday at our meeting about today's workshop. Well, because we had a flurry of applicants at the end, you know, at the deadline. So my looking at on the 24th, April 24th, you guys will be looking and reviewing the semifinalists, etc.
We've already taken care of this,
We've changed that to the 21st.
It's the 21st now.
Okay.
which
now
will give
the
you a
21st.
weekend to review them.
That's what you were saying. Okay, gotcha. Because that was my concern. Is that 3-day window? Because we're not going to receive like we have been
No, it'll
during
all
the
be-
application. It's all going to be one file. Bam, here you go. Instead of how we have been. Okay, then if that's good.
Yeah, we
that's-
noticed that on the schedule, and I said, I need the board.
I
to have a
just
weekend
it's
to
a
review
yeah.
it.
And again, like we have something else on that 28th, which I don't think is going to be a huge matter. Cybersecurity update. But you never know. So that's fine. If we move to 21st, that's fine.
We can't move cybersecurity again. I'm sorry.
No. I agree. But moving from 24th, 21st gives us more time to get prepared.
Oh,
For
yeah, I like that change, because it gives us that,
Did we bump what we were gonna do today, though, to
We've already moved it. The agenda. Yeah. So
where, though?
we have not.
Ms. Cox, if you will send, I know we moved around per the conversation. If later today you can update that spreadsheet and send the board members the new workshop dates where everything fell. So we massaged and put so that you'll get a clean copy of those conversations from yesterday.
But nothing was added on the 28th extra than what was already there.
I think we had to move, a couple of things, and I believe one thing I did add that we needed, after my meeting, at SRQ yesterday
Okay.
with Mr. Piccolo. I did add, on a workshop in May to go over the study.
Right.
So, our environmentalist will be here, their environmentalist, Mr. Piccolo, so forth. So the board can decide how to move forward based on that report that
Well,
came.
once we see the workshops later on.
So, but it's fit in there. We moved the reading, we moved the policies, so it is all in there. But we do need to go over that report from SRQ so the board can decide how to proceed.
So if the reading thing and the policy thing is on the 28th, is that gonna be?
It's not on the 28th. Both those things get moved on the 28th, I'm assuming.
It is on the 28th.
Policy has to be because the policy.
Oh, the policy has to.
Yeah, they're on there. They're on there. The shade is for, time certain. The SRQ is time certain. So it'll be the 28th and we'll get all those things
The
in.
SRQ's on the 28th. You said May.
Yeah, it's in May. That one's in May.
Yeah. So on the 28th, we have added
We've
FSBA,
moved,
cybersecurity, the book,
yes,
reading,
and the policies.
policies.
That is correct.
Okay.
No,
and we need a,
so we moved that to May.
okay.
And we sent him his new date
Okay. So then.
yesterday.
That's fine. Okay.
So you have 3 items.
As long as we know we're prepared.
Right, but we'll send you the clean copy because we juggled it based on yesterday's needs.
Right. I mean, we can look at the policies before the 21st. I mean, that's, yeah.
Right.
Okay.
So we're gonna have on the 28th, it's the,
We'll send you a clean copy because,
Yeah, the
well, you'll get
semifinal.
that today,
The book presentation or not book, but how the reading
reading.
and
policy
the policy updates.
I have,
and this,
Yeah, so those 3 things. No longer cybersecurity, that went to May.
no longer cybersecurity, that went to me.
Yeah.
Okay.
And that was a shade, so that's before these anyway.
So it's only those 3 things.
Yeah.
I have a question for FSBA. In your experience, does the semifinalist going to the finalist, how long do you think that kind of because I think yesterday we kind of struggled to know like how long today would take us. In your experience, how long does that process take?
It takes about the same time. It doesn't usually take that long.
Okay.
Is it still a chart like we
Right.
did
We'll-
today?
We'll do the same, basically the same exact process. And one of the reasons we do it this way is we try to keep it very positive. But we will get into discussions, just like we had. If it's a clear-cut decision on the board, then people move to the finalists. But if there's one that's close, then we'll have the discussions that we have. And that's a good transition into, immediately at this meeting, we will notify the law firm we work with, Green Spoon Martyr, and they will begin to start the background check process. And we'll be working with them. They will be also coordinating with Mr. Dye, who will eventually be working with board members on the background check results when they come in. We'll also be working with your HR department and looking at the professional practices websites, one which is available only to the districts. We'll be getting information on that. And any other background information that we can go ahead and find out on the candidates, we'll all funnel those together. So when you're ready to select your finalists, you'll have the videos to consider, you'll have the written documentation, you'll have your own research and your own work that you're going to be doing. You'll probably call other school board members or other people that you'd like to check on. We'll send articles, and you'll also have the benefit of conversations with Mr. Dye and background check information, and they're pretty in-depth.
I do have one more question. We have 12, am I correct?
Yes.
Of those 12, how many have applied in other districts? Could we?
I knew Ms. Farmer was gonna have that. 'Cause as I was looking,
Was you waiting for her to say that, or did
well,
I?
I was looking, I was like, this is gonna be something Ms. Foreman knows.
Oh, okay, yeah,
As
that's,
I was looking to see who, the same thing, yeah.
yeah.
Okay. Number 8
Number 8,
is a semifinalist in Charlotte.
Charlotte, okay.
Okay.
Charlotte,
Number 10 is a finalist in Pinellas and has, no, finalist. Oh,
number,
Pinellas, they call them semi, but there's only 4 of them, right?
She was. She was,
Okay,
right,
she's
she
a
was a
finalist.
finalist.
okay,
No.
number
And
8,
and Osceola.
wait a minute.
applied there.
Number 8 is a semi in Charlotte.
Number 10,
Was that they've already hired.
Right.
right, okay.
Oh, they've hired, okay,
Yeah,
so
but she's also applied in Osceola,
Osceola,
yeah. Number 11 is a semifinalist in 2 counties. And has
She's applied in all districts, all of
She
our
applied in
districts.
all, that's
Brevard,
right.
Charlotte, Osceola, and Manatee.
number 11,
Yeah, number applied, yeah.
Yeah.
okay, yeah, I think that might have been my,
Number 17 is a semifinalist in Brevard and Charlotte and did apply in Collier, but
Right.
didn't make the cut. Number 18, semifinalist in Brevard.
Correct.
20 hasn't applied anywhere else.
The only district he's applying for is Manatee.
yeah,
because-
that was, yeah.
Oh, I thought I saw him somewhere else.
No, that's the only district he's applying for.
And 22, the same,
22, that's the only, you're correct?
right? Number 23, better not have applied anyplace else.
The only one.
Number 25 was a semifinalist in,
Collier.
and 27 only applied here.
Hard right, yeah. Now, Osceola is still open, so it's possible it's more can, but we try to keep track of that as individuals come forward. Ms. Foreman, you've done a great job on this.
Yeah, because I was.
Thank you very much.
No, I'm gonna give up my Netflix subscription because I watch all these stupid board meetings, you know.
Well, thank you, it's a pleasure. It sounds real good. You did a great job cross-checking my list.
We matched?
We did.
Cool.
Thank you very
I
much.
think she missed number 4, Mr. Schneider.
Mr. Schneider, yes.
Oh.
He is he's applied he's a finalist in Brevard, and semifinalists in Brevard and Charlotte. Charlotte, I believe.
So, Richard J. O'Malley didn't apply to Orange County?
He did apply to Orange County,
Oh,
correct?
but we're just talking about.
Oh,
city
I'm just
finalists?
talking about.
That's the only other Florida district he's applied for.
I didn't look at all.
Right, but he didn't apply for any of these.
They resolved theirs a year.
He did apply for Orange County.
At least it's what it says on their website.
Yeah.
But it did say someone withdrew, so but I didn't think it was him.
Yeah, no, he did apply for Orange County, correct.
Okay, so there are a couple of them that applied to most of them.
So our next steps are to send congratulatory notes to those 12 semifinalists that have been identified, to send notes to the others who have not been identified as semifinalists, thank them for their inquiry and support of the school district. We will compile all of the responses, as you correctly noted. They will be sent to you in a single email with links to their videos and the attachments for their written responses. You'll get that. The deadline we put on that is usually 5 p.m. and we said Friday the 21st. So that gives me about an hour to try to get it to you by 6 p.m. on that day. So that'll give you the whole weekend to be able to review them. And we'll probably be sitting right here working on those things before we even leave your building.
Are the background check and the articles and the information, do you screen that, or you just give us a big data dump and say, here you go?
Well, we screen it on our own, but we also don't filter things for the board.
Okay.
So we give you, I guess you would call it a data dump, but we certainly, for example, with the background checks, if there is something that rises to the level that I believe I need to know that you all know about before you have that next conversation, you can expect a personal phone call from me, because I need to know that I spoke to you and said, this is back here, you need to be aware. Mr. Dye will review with you I don't want to call it generic things, but nobody has a completely clean background anymore. There'll be some, even if you did me, I have a speeding ticket here and there, and it would pop and it would show and you go, Andrea, you've been speeding. Well, yeah.
On your way here?
No, not this time. I have cruise control. I use it very religiously now. But that I-10, if you go 78, they will get you.
Oh, yeah.
And Stark, if you're ever in Stark, just be very careful. Oh, yeah. My point is, everyone has something in their background, and so that will all hit. We'll find out if they have, some people get boating tickets, and some people get, you just never know what it might be. If something rises to the level that we question it, it's more than just routine type, maybe even youthful indiscretions, we will personally have a conversation with the applicant first. Because we know that we have to explain things to you, and the applicant will have to explain things to the public, right? So if something rises to the level that we go, wait a minute, this could be a problem, we'll call the applicant and say, tell us a little bit more about whatever it might be. I'll give you an example. We had one applicant, when we did the background search, something came up with a foreclosure on a home. And when you're asking someone to be in charge of a budget, a foreclosure, we need to know a little bit more about that situation, what's happening. Well, come to find out, upon investigation, which is, what we need to do, he sold the house to the person that foreclosed. It wasn't his foreclosure, but his name was listed in the legal document. And that's a very appropriate explanation for what happened. The other thing we will ask them about, especially people who've been superintendents or district level ESE people, inevitably, if there's a lawsuit in some of those areas, a teacher does something, listed in the lawsuit will typically be the teacher, the principal, the superintendent, the teacher, the principal, the ESE director, whatever. So if there are court cases that are involving these people, we want to know what the circumstance is, how they're related, if they're just a named party, if they actually are being accused of some culpability, things like that, as well as, John, did you want to speak to the certification check piece? Oh, you did, okay. So there may be some things related to certification. We clear and make sure all of that is clear. We just have to make sure that everything comes up clean enough that you have confidence in who you're bringing. So we'll check out all that stuff.
What about their education records? Is that done, verified at this point, or after we name finalists?
Well, what we ask each semifinalist to provide for us is a certified copy of their transcripts from their highest degree attained. And by doing that, because the highest degree attained would indicate that the others have been checked, and we ask for a certified copy, so they can't just give us a photocopy of something. It comes usually, there are, I guess you'd call them applications now, apps, where if you go to the university, I end up getting sort of a encrypted email where they've authorized me to get a certified copy directly from the university, things like that. So that's how we confirm highest degree attained, certified copy.
And then, but there are some applicants who have their PhD in progress.
Well, then that would not be the highest degree attained, correct? Because we can't confirm that, I mean, we could confirm that they're attending, but it would be their master's or whatever would be the highest degree attained, because that's the only one that you can confirm. If somebody's enrolled, you know, for no offense to PhD people, but that can cover many years. So. Any other questions?
I had a question. The questions that we came up with, when will we see like all of our questions that we're gonna send?
I have to confirm with Mr. Choate on his question, so I'm
Oh,
still
okay.
waiting for the fifth one.
Gotcha.
So if you just are hanging around here in the next few
Look
minutes.
at me, Miss Foreman.
He's a slacker.
So we
No.
all should look at him right now.
Miss-
and
No.
put some pressure on him.
No, I will defend Mr. Choate and say that while I did call him twice and text him twice, it appears I had the wrong phone number. So when I confirmed with him this morning, I said, can you please confirm this phone number? I feel like I'm being ghosted. And he said, well, that's because that's the wrong number. So it's on me, but I will defend you, sir.
Thank you.
You're like,
Not his fault.
I got that look from Ms. Foreman. I knew I was going to.
However, I do like, he's blushing, so I like the attention, so.
Yeah.
So that didn't answer my question. So when will we receive it? I know he's gonna do his
10 minutes
thing.
after.
Okay, so it'll come like in an email or something?
I will copy, yeah, I can do that. If you're still hanging around, I'll show it to you, but I just need to confirm. And I also need to loop back with Mr. Tatum on some of the particulars with his questions. So we're still finalizing the questions, is my
Okay.
point, but you will see them all.
Okay,
Yes.
I was just curious. Thank you so much.
Yes, ma'am.
Yeah, mine's sent.
Thank you. Oh, thank you.
Anything else from the board members, or FSBA, or anything like that?
I just think they're doing a good job so far. I mean, you've got a lot going on, but it seems like you're focused too. So I congratulate you for your attention to detail and staying organized, and so.
And listening to me.
Yeah, things happen.
Yeah, we appreciate it.
Yeah.
All right, so we are
You did great.
done.
We got a good list.
Yeah, I'm excited to move forward. Good to go. Thank you for all your help, FSBA, everybody else. Laura, I know it's been crazy. Y'all the applicants in, thank you very much. And we are adjourned.